What I particularly love about the idea of setting Pinocchio in a 1950s aesthetic is that the 1950s in America is where the family is a picture of wholesomeness and perfection. So the wife greets the husband with an enormous roast turkey when he comes in from the office, and they have two matching children's, one of each kind. And of course this was the aesthetic that Disney later embraced completely. I started out this project by saying that Disney, or the Disney version of the film, was something that I really wanted to work against, and I feel that's what I've been doing, but I really like the irony that I've landed on this idea of 1950s America, because that is Disney in terms of kind of image, the image of a perfect family. And American 1950s is very different from the British 1950s, where we still have rationing and we still picking ourselves up from the war. But in America, if you're white, America had all kinds of social problems, of course, in the 1950s, but if you were white and middle class, it is the age or the dawn of consumerism and those enormous Frigidaires and big Cadillac cars and all kinds of cleaning products. Advertising becomes an art form. So there's a wealth with that world, with that aesthetic, and in Collodi's book there isn't. It's poor. Geppetto sells his coat so that he can buy an ABC book for Pinocchio to go to school. This might help us to focus in on the kind of emotional poverty of the story, loss and loneliness. So it's bleak and poor in an emotional sense rather than a material one. The meaning of poverty for us in this day and age is different from the poverty in Collodi's book. So thinking back to those riots, the supermarkets are not being robbed for food or books. They're being robbed for the latest gadgets, the latest trainers. So consumerism, riches rather than need. And so you look at those pictures of the riots and you think of a kind of moral poverty. We're morally poor rather than begging in the streets for food and emaciated bodies that can't stand up. In this world of perfect family, Geppetto doesn't have a family. He tries to make a family out of a lump of wood. So the perfection that he sees around him in his neighbours is not something that he has himself. So this might help to magnify that sad truth. And I wondered if he might drink a bit, and that when he makes this puppet out of wood, it coming to life he isn't quite sure whether he's really seen it. So his life is kind of in a haze of confusion and sadness. And then of course there's the great metaphor of him ending up in the belly of a whale in the sea, almost as if he drinks himself into the ocean. Not that he'd be staggering around the stage as a drunkard, but that it just makes that world a bit more hazy, that odd world, and where strange things happen. And so maybe everything is through his eyes.